Alright folks, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to talk about 5 things that you shouldn't do with your Chinese electronic fuel injected motorcycle. Okay, number 1 thing is don't ignore the service log. You know, like oil change, chain lubrication, chain slack, your brake bleed, what else? Your fastener bolts, your air to clean. Don't ignore it, because you see, the thing is, when you have a Chinese bike, a Chinese motorcycle, it needs constant maintenance and surveillance all the time. Otherwise, you see this? The last time we saw it, it was at 6,131, right? Now it's 6,247. What went on after that is that because I get a temp around 78, and one time I had a temp around 84 degrees, technically this is hot summer for me. So before I was running 20W40, now I change it to 20W50. The bike would recommend you to change it every 3,728 miles, but that's just a myth. You don't leave an oil on the bike for that long unless you don't ride it. If the bike is sitting outside and is being driven daily or at least 3 times a week, you change the oil when the temperature changes. Because let's say that you have a 20W40, right? The temperature is around 60 degrees, and one day it turns to 80 degrees. What happened with that oil is that it's being boiled into a temperature that exceeds the amount that it's supposed to hold. So when that happens, that viscosity might even drop to half, or you might not even have a 20W40 at all. You might have something very thin, something like you can cook fish or chicken with. So you have to change it when the temperature changes. Same thing you do when the temperature goes down very cold. So I have 2 bikes. I never usually equalize them until I really see that the temperature is going to stay there for a while. So this is the first time I have both bikes at 20W50. Otherwise, I would have this at 20W40, and I would have this at 20W50 or 15W40, and this at 20W40. But this one at 10W40, and this one at 10W50. You know, these are like temp for me from 25 degrees cold to 15 degrees cold to even 8 degrees cold to 60 degrees hot to 80 degrees hot to 90 degrees hot. That's how I look at it. Now, I won't tell you which oil is which. You're gonna have to do research for your own, but what I just tell you is for me, you know, it's just me being very smart and knowing that what I usually do all the time, and just giving you all some numbers, which are true numbers, but you know, if you do some research, you find out which temperature is which. The next one on the list is don't ride for short trips or use too many human-made accessories draining your battery on short trips like alarm, stereo sound, or extra LEDs. Now, I know some of you guys like to put LED all around your sport bike. If you have a cruiser bike, you have 2 lights here. You know, you got the LED over there that's shining the engine. These things drains the battery and doesn't do anything good to your motorcycle. Let's say you're riding and suddenly your rectifier regulator goes bad. Now, that bike has a certain amount of miles for it to go bad before it stops running because the battery's not being charged. Now, if you have all these on your battery, believe me, if you have 20 miles on that battery for it to get you home, you're gonna get home around, you only have around 5 miles before that battery finally drains and everything just stops working. All right, on the next thing here, don't drag the key chain. See this key chain? It only has one key carabiner, what do you call it? And it has like a chain clip or something like that easily come off. Now, when I'm riding, I usually have the chain like this. The wind itself pushes this like that. If I'm turning left, it goes like this. If I'm turning right, it goes like that. You know, so the wind itself gives the chain a little lift weight, so it won't be too much going forward. That way, it won't mess with the key spring. Same thing with this guy right here. I'm gonna turn off the fuel pump because I don't need it. This one has 1,299 miles, right? 428. See my key? I'll be riding with this bike. I'll literally have to remove this all the time. So the key has no weight at all. Now what happened is when the key has too many weight on it, it goes down. There's a spring that's supposed to touch I think something with the coil, not usually the positive because that's always connected. And then there's another one for the ground. So what happened is when this has too much weight and you're riding high speed, you're doing 70 or above, and suddenly you hit a bump, and believe me, there are bumps in the road. Now this thing right here vibrates to create a shock, and when the bike is going very fast, something very small can impact a key such as this, and if any circuit just disconnect, the bike will literally die. So this one has had that issue. In fact, I heard some people having the 200 dirt bike from Lifan has the same issue. They don't know what it is. They just say that it stops working and then they have trouble to start it. Now, when the bike is, let's say you're riding, right? All of a sudden you were on gears. You were in first or second or third gear. Then the bike shuts off. So first thing you're gonna do with your instinct is put it on neutral, right? And then you're gonna try to start it. Now the bike itself will not start at the first time because the computer had it before that it was running and it was on third gear. So it will take several attempts before that bike actually picks up to start again. If you don't have a good battery, you might drain it. What else? If you got engine issue, it won't even start at all. So all that relies on the key having too much weight because you have so many, you know, you have your wife's key there, you have your alarm key, you have your stereo key, you have the bike's alarm key, what else? You got your storage key, all that. You got like 10 keys hanging on that loop and the weight just forcing it down. And that's how, you know, you just cause an accident. Number 4 is don't ride with an empty tank. You see this here? That's not true. Let me show you how this dash works. You see when it's on 3, that's empty. When it's like this, when I first put on gas, okay, it's full. But after I've ridden it for a while, I can do at least 70 miles on it and it will still stay like this. Now this guy right here is true to the dash. So this guy is telling the truth right here. So I'm gonna show you the tank. Turn it off. See, I have gas. I have at least 3/4 of a gas, like it says on the dash. Now I have 3/4 of the gas on this one too because I ride them both equally, and I know which one is which. See this one? In fact, I think I have this as full now. So this is a good habit to always have at least 3/4 of gas or full tank all the time instead of an empty tank. What happens when you have an empty tank is that your fuel pump, one time, believe me, I was on 3 on this bike. Let me put it on. I was on 3 on this bike. I was going to work and all of a sudden it goes to 2. That means it's very empty. And one time I saw it flashing, blinking on 1. I don't know why, maybe it was sitting up high when I first had it, but now it never happened. It's empty, it's always on 3. So I went to work, parked the bike. I know it's on 3, I know I'm supposed to fill up with gas, but I got on my brake, which is at 10 o'clock. I start the bike. Now I'm gonna start it, you're gonna hear it. Fuel pump on. Hear that? You don't need to mash this too much. You just need to put the fuel pump on once and that's it. So when the bike is very low on fuel, you see Hear the sound. That's a good sound. When it's low on fuel, it gives you a drag sound like you have a problem with your coil, or one of your combustion chamber is not working. It gives you a really drag sound. So that means the fuel pressure is very low because you're running low gas. Alright, the last part of the list is don't depend on stock parts until you sold the bike thinking stock parts for your model will last forever. So let me show you what this means. Stock parts on motorcycles are prone to failure all the time, and some won't even last long than the factory intended it to. So like this, when I first had it, the first thing I did, I upgraded the light. Had a standard Philip 2 bulb. Forgot if maybe they call it different, but the thing is, it gives you a weak yellow light. So these are HID LED light, even though sometimes it flickers, depends on the wiring connection of the engine. And if you, let's say you have a 150 scooter, you can upgrade it to a 11-pole stator and change the wiring, it won't flicker. And some other bike you will install this, like my GTS 250cc scooter, the silver one, it don't flicker, but on this bike it flickers. It only flickers slightly bit, not that much that you signaling everyone. So let's say if I'm filming this and I turn this on, it will flicker on the camera. Otherwise, the human level, you won't even see it. So I prefer this one because I ride at night time, and believe me, I get a much more better viewer even at low beam than the one the bike had at high beam. So that's one thing I upgrade on this. Then you got the chain. All right, this is now I'm gonna tell you why I like gold. The gold color prevents the chain from rusted. Like a standard silver chain that's X-ring would be good, but because it's not anodized with the gold finish, it'll rust as soon as it rains, or if it stays out for too long and it gets cold and hot all the time. Now when you have the gold color, it's not gonna rust. So I upgrade that to X-ring, meaning that it has a cushion, 4 cushion on each pallet side, which is what I call it. And what else? And this wasn't the stock one. The stock one stretches at 350 miles. This one I've seen it stretches on the other bike at 800 miles. So yeah, I added that in there for my jack stand. And that's just 2 for this one. This one here, you have a battery, a motor bat. There's a model number, I'm gonna give it to you. But the stock battery was working. I let it on the bike for a while and it wasn't giving me any issue. The only issue I had with it is that whenever I start the bike, and let me show you what I'm talking about here. Whenever I start this guy, let's say I put the fuel on, I turn the key, it's bleeding properly. Now there's 2 ways you can start a bike. There is one way you put your hands on this until the ignition ignite and you let go. That means you don't burn the starter solenoid. Or there's another way. Pro does it like this. Watch. See? Battery didn't change. Now the old battery, when I do it this way, this meter all the time went down to always 0 until it regenerates. That means that the starter solenoid drains the battery to a point that the cranking amp is not strong enough for it to maintain it. And even when it's colder in the morning, it will give me problems, and I'll have to start this at least 2 times before it really starts. So when I see that, after 9 months, I upgrade this battery. Now it wasn't easy for me to find the MB10U motor battery because I didn't know the size. I had to go to China How and type the bike's model number, and I found so many parts on China How that I can rebuild this bike brand new. In fact, I bought some parts which is coming later on. So with that being said, I look at the battery number. I'm not gonna buy a battery from China. I'm not stupid, but I didn't know the battery of the bike either. So that gives me an edge up after I buy this battery 2 times. One time was from Amazon Prime. Now Amazon does not accept battery. What I did is that I bought another item from Amazon and I placed to return that item and I swap it with the battery. So once the battery came to them, they see that I purchased the battery and it wasn't used, so they refund me the money. Otherwise, the second battery that I bought from a regular seller, can't return it because it's a battery that has acid and I'm stuck with it. So this is the 3rd time I bought this battery. Go figures. Now, the other thing I upgrade is this guy right here. See, that's the exhaust. Well, the stock one had it with a heavy exhaust shield. So that one, after 4,000 miles, it rusted. And then it fell off. First it gives you a bunch of cranking sound, thinking that you have an engine problem, like a crankshaft going bad. And you know, it might be a bunch of metal pieces inside the engine, but eventually it falls apart. And then it was this problem right here. So what I ended up doing is that I wrapped it. It's not the best wrap, but it actually seals everything. So you know, had to do this several times to finally give it a nice finish. Otherwise, before I had it very ugly. Now I ordered 3 of these shields. This one is not meant to be placed here. This is the first one that came before the remaining 2. So this one I had originally planned to put it right here, because my leg when I got on the bike all the time stays like this. But because of the fact that I don't like it here and I like it over there better, so I installed it here. But once I have the next 2 ones, this one is gonna go over there. The one that I bought from here, now I see it fits for that one. The one that I bought from here is gonna fit for that one. And this one has a design one that has a flame looking like. Now, why I change it? Because the stock one falls apart. Am I gonna call Lifan trying to buy the same heavy, it's as heavy as the exhaust, the whole heat shield? Am I gonna call Lifan just trying to replace it and buy it? No, I'm not, because I've seen the error. It's too heavy and it has weak weld. These are light, right? And these are single. I'm gonna put one here, which I already did. I'm gonna put one here, a different frame, which is coming, and I'm gonna swap this one. I put it over there. So this is another stock part I upgrade. And then here's the other upgrade that's coming. You see this? This is a Kawasaki Z250 style exhaust. So beside the LED on this one, you see I had a heat shield here. Same story with that one. Weak weld, but this wasn't too heavy. It was just weak weld, and the vibration of the bike just kills it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put an Acropovic high performance exhaust in there. I bought this piece and the exhaust by itself. It's very cheap on Amazon. I was very surprised because on China How they will charge me an arm and a leg for it. But I actually found a part on Amazon, so I purchased it. Might have it next week. I'm gonna make a video about it. But yeah, stock parts on Chinese bikes never last long.